Okay, welcome to the Tuesday, April 5th meeting of the Norwalk Arts Commission. I'm going to introduce myself, Mark Allen, Chairman, and I'm going to call a roll for attendance. Bob Abriola.
Yep, Bob Abriola, voting member.
Janet Evelyn.
Janet Evelyn, voting member.
Melissa Matuska. Melissa, maybe.
Sorry about that. Melissa Matuska, voting member.
No worries at all. Brian Casper.
Brian Casper, voting member.
And Nori Gruden.
Nori Gruden, voting member.
Stephen seems to be coming on. Stephen, are you there?
Hello. Yes, I am.
Stephen, you're on vacation. We're admiring you right now.
Yeah, look at him
Oh,
blurring
nice.
his background. It's probably palm trees back there.
Now heading tomorrow, leaving tomorrow for the Berkshires a couple days. So
Good for you. You deserve it. Okay, is there anybody that I missed from the Arts Commission members?
Nope.
No. So, okay. Do we have anybody here? I see Ingrid, you're here. Anybody from the public who would like to participate? Oh. Ingrid, are you here to make a presentation or are you here for?
I'm here with Janet with the Jamaican Heritage
Got it. Very
plaque
good.
presentation. So thank you.
Very good. And I see Brianna James is here and she's going to be presenting a little later on.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so moving on, we have to approve the minutes for the February 1st regular meeting. We didn't have enough members here for a quorum last month. So has everybody had a chance to review that? And do we have a motion to approve?
Brian Casper, I motion to approve the minutes from the February 1st meeting.
Do we have a second? Thank you, Melissa. And we'll just go through the roll for starting with myself, Mark Allen, aye, and Nori Gruden.
Aye.
Stephen Rust.
hi.
Janet Evelyn.
You know, I'm not sure if I attended that meeting, but I would say I looked at it and I didn't have any issues, so. But I don't remember attending the February meeting. I do remember attending the March meeting.
It says you were here on the minutes, so I think.
Okay,
you were
so
here.
yeah.
And Robert.
But Mark, I'm going to abstain. I wasn't at the meeting. I mean, I read through the notes, but I wasn't here, so I'm going to abstain.
Okay, so Brian, it was your motion, I believe. So how do you vote?
Aye.
And Melissa, you are an aye? I'm assuming.
We just lost Melissa. I don't know what happened there.
So it's her motion, would we assume then? she's an
Yeah.
aye?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so the ayes carry, and we're going to move on to the minutes of the March 1st meeting. Did everybody receive a copy of that and have a chance to review? And or does anybody have any issues with that? I did read it. I did not see any issues. And is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the March minutes.
Thank you, Janet. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Stephen. We'll go through the roll just for officiality. Voting, starting with myself, aye, Mark Allen, Bob Abriola.
I need to abstain, Mark. I was not at that meeting.
Oh, you were not there, correct. And
Sorry.
and-
I'm back, though. I am back.
back in full force. And Janet
Aye.
and Brian Casper,
I was not in attendance, so I'll abstain.
fair enough. Stephen?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Did I miss Anybody?
Melissa's back.
Melissa, you're back.
Sorry,
Welcome
my
back.
computer, I got the blue screen. Yeah, no, I approve.
Okay, thank you so much, Carrie. Okay, moving right ahead, we're going to go to the committee staff update. Turn it over to Nori for a budget committee update.
Okay, so we had a small budget meeting, me, Mark, and Sabrina. We were discussing the budget. And with everything paid out for the end of the year, anticipating playing Melissa and doing some other things, we're going to have about $1,800 to $2,000 left, $1,800 to $2,000. So in the agenda tonight, we're going to discuss doing a Mayor's Gallery exhibit, but we're going to give it over to, say, Bob and Brian to get a better idea of how much we should be paying somebody to do an exhibit. Because it used to be $500 for everything, including, printing of material, the person's labor, so we don't know if that's a good going rate or if we should, pay more for somebody, because I don't know if because it used to be $500 per show.
And that's to curate. What can you explain?
So
exactly what-
let's step back 2 seconds. One thing
Okay.
is we're kicking it over really to infrastructure committee, not specifically, not
Okay.
only limited to Bob and Brian. And within infrastructure committee, would like to come up with some proposals. In other words, the Mayor's Gallery has not been redone since the last time pre-COVID. We had the fire, the vintage fireman photographs, and that had been curated by Helen Roman. And Helen did that as a volunteer within the Arts Commission. Prior to that, we had hired people, but we're going back almost before my history. So we don't have all the information about what we paid to the various exhibits that we did. But to Nori's memory is that we paid, it was about $500 that we paid. And that included the person's time and some materials. But, this is a new time period for us. We want to do an exhibit in the Mayor's Gallery. We want a fresh look on it. The mayor's office is the centerpiece of sort of the central focus of City Hall. So it's time we do a new Mayor's Gallery exhibit. It could be art, it could be original art, it could be photographs. It's really hard. I'm only giving options here, but it's really going to leave it up to you guys to maybe come up with a concept, come up with a proposal, and if the budget seems appropriate, let us know. If you have a new budget in mind, let us know. But this is the money that we have to work with left in our budget for that. So,
Mark, I
Melissa.
will.
Sorry, this is Melissa.
Go ahead, Melissa.
I do have the historical information on that. So we did 4 curated shows a year, one of which was the art show from the Norwalk Public Schools. So that was
Okay.
really 3 rounds that we did, and it was $500 each. And we also paid for supplies on top of that, as long as they were within reason. So I know that Melissa used to do it, you're right, in the past, it was discussion of, is 500 enough? Because, a lot of work went into it, especially when Helen did it. And even when Melissa did it, there was a lot of work that went into it. So I am happy to help. I missed the last infrastructure meeting, but I do have the historical info on that.
but yeah, so that's what I remember. I remember that it was $500, and then there was the printed materials on top of that. That wasn't coming out of the budget.
Correct. And then we would also have an opening of the show where it would say, or we would bring like punch and crackers or something, crackers or cookies or something, very minimal.
Yeah.
So Mark, I think this should definitely go to the infrastructure committee, like Brian leads that up, and we should come up with I think an overall strategy for the Mayor's Gallery, right? Not just one event. It should be how do we want to handle it going forward? And maybe, we allocate money towards a curator. We have X amount of shows and each show gets funded a certain, whatever. I don't want to solve it now, but I think we need to discuss it in the infrastructure committee and come up with a proposal.
I agree, except for that we have the money in our budget now to really probably launch one show
Okay.
and have a little left over, but I definitely agree there should be a plan for the future. That's not just a one-off, but
Yeah. All right. So we have money in the budget until is it through April? Is that what it goes to?
July 1st is when the budget turns over.
All right. So we have until July. All right. So
Realistically, if we don't spend this money, we're going to lose it.
yeah,
So
we're going to spend it. We're going to spend it.
Mark, I want just a comment on that. I talked to building management and they're fine with installing the hanging systems.
good. Good.
So minus the amount we're paying for the mayor's gallery, we can use the remainder to buy the hanging systems and then building management can install them.
Okay. So we had voted to approve the money in the past, which for the hanging system. So do we need to vote to approve this money for that now?
No, because we've approved it in the past, it's fine.
Okay, so we just really need to come up with the
Amount.
which hanging system and the amount.
Yep.
I mean, we had done the research before. I know that I saw the email that you sent to the buildings department, and one of the second option that you had given them was, I think, basically the one we had come up with the first time. So it's pretty standard. It's Bob, you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's back with the wire, and they have the hooks that the wire hangs down.
Well, how much was that? I don't remember. Was it like $400 or something? I can't remember.
It was about that because it was based on the footage that we had for the People's Gallery at that time.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, well, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
So we should go ahead and do that for sure.
Right. So I think the money that's left in the budget then will cover the mayor's gallery and the hanging system.
Sure.
Anything else, Nori, and any questions for Nori? Okay.
Nori, can you just send that out? Was that attached anywhere? I'd love to get a copy of that. Let me just send that
Oh,
out.
the budget was included in,
Was it in there? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the packet that
It's in the pack. Got it. Thank you.
Miranda sent out. Maritza, I'm sorry.
Yep. Thank you.
For the communications committee, I'm working on a new newsletter for April. If anybody has anything that they specifically want to put in there, I'm open to ideas. No other news for social media, other than Michelle is doing a thing, and I think it's been really good. I'd like to see more follows and more subscribers, but I think in general, as long as we're communicating the news of our arts community, then we're doing our job. For infrastructure committee, Brian, you had a meeting. You want to give everybody an update?
Yeah, I can do that, and I'm assuming we're doing new businesses for the certain, the proposal, right? We're doing that later. Okay. Yes. We had a meeting. It was last week. It was unfortunately just Steve and myself, but it's also topics we've discussed before. So, and then I also sent a follow-up email asking for input on all this, and didn't hear any objections. Anyway, we simply discussed the art and public places $25,000 capital budget funds that we have to use it or lose it, and mostly discussed just some approaches to it, which I will go over later, as well as locations, which I'll also go over later. And that was the long and short of it. Yeah, and Steve told me a little bit about the lighting they're doing, which I think is also going to be brought up later. So I don't want to get bogged down with some of this because we're going to be discussing it and ideally voting on stuff later. If anyone has any questions, happy to answer.
So the art in public places, that's going to be a new proposal, correct?
Yeah, we're bringing up later in the meeting.
It actually wasn't put on to the agenda as an item for new business.
Oh,
So
It was put on under the committee update. You can talk about it now.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, then let me just dive right in. So if I could share my screen, I think I need to send a request here, yeah? Or can I just do it? I can just do it.
You can just do it. Yep.
Okay, so the art in public places, let me get my little slideshow thing. Oh, wow. Everybody can see this okay, yeah?
Mhm.
Art in public places, we had discussed in the past. We have a $25,000 budget. We also are going to have a little bit of money left over from the MLK project that I'd like to roll into this, and I'll get into the more of the budgetary details later. The idea that we had been kicking around was for this sort of first one, going after some of the DOT spaces. There's been this sort of long history of them being untouchable because they're state owned, but we've found out within the last, say, 6 months that they actually have some guidelines and rules and things in place to actually facilitate some of this work, which is actually very straightforward. It's mostly we as Arts Commission and the mayor have to sign off on it. And as long as the proper insurance and certain details about construction are followed, and like distractions and what's right of way and things like that are followed, then it's fair game with the DOT. So it's great. So thus, I'm proposing that we do the Monroe Street underpass. We've talked about it a couple times. This underpass is, if you are unfamiliar, and I'll show some photos. If you're unfamiliar, this is the area that is literally right on top of the train station. If you're coming out from the New Haven side, that's like that parking lot there, go down a little ramp. Monroe Street is right at the bottom of that. It is just to your left. And I have it indicated here on the map. And I can send this presentation out. More or less, this is a very highly trafficked area. It's the first impression of our town for anyone visiting via train for the first time. Huge gateway to both South Norwalk as well as the rest of the city. I specifically wanted to choose something within the MLK corridor because we do have these funds left over from that project, and that was allocated to be spent within this area of the city. So I wanted to focus on it, and I thought this was one of the best places for it, both for visibility, but also for its size. It's about 10 feet high, about 90 feet long on either side of the road. That gives you about 1,800 square feet. So that size is appropriate for the budget that I'm about to propose. There are some additional spaces sort of on the outsides of the space that I'm discussing that would be great to also have painted, but I also don't want to ask too much of artists that we ultimately choose. So a topic for another time, but if there's ways to secure additional funds, that would be incredible. Moving on, these are just Google Street View. This is coming off of MLK as if you were going to the the New York bound from New Haven side to pick up passengers. So if you can see my mouse, I'm talking about sort of this whole area and this whole area, not necessarily this little side bit, even though clearly it gets tagged, so it might be worth painting. And then the other side going the other way, this would be going sort of southwest-ish, is this. I don't know, is the Zoom thing blocking everybody's view? Because for me, it's blocking.
I see it.
Okay, so there's this huge, this is probably about 50-ish feet, and it slants down. It's also about 10, 11, 12 feet tall. And then there's, I think this area over here that I can't actually see right now because of the Zoom thing. So this is the space I'm talking about. This is the exit and entrance to the parking lot and the pickup from the train. Again, high visibility. Over here, which is out of frame on Google Street View, is actually just a tear down, but now there's apartment building there. So again, tons of traffic in this space, and it is a big old blank gray wall. So that's the space that I'm proposing. I suppose we can have, before I dive into budget and timeline stuff, I suppose maybe questions, comments, anyone want to bring anything up? And I do want to say, I do not want to get too bogged down about locations, because as I've mentioned many times, my goal for my time in the infrastructure committee is to see every single underpass in the city painted. So we could go all day talking about, well, what about this underpass and what about that one? Again, I want to focus on the MLK corridor, and I want to start with one of our more impactful areas. But with that said, anyone?
I love the location. I think the Metro North Station is, you're right, it's such a gateway, and this is so highly visible. And you know that this part of town, right adjacent to the train station, it is kind of dull right now, I think.
You don't even notice it. You literally don't notice it.
Bring a lot to life to it.
Yeah, no, it's a good spot, Brian. I think it's great.
And the nice thing about this too is it, you know, to paint these sides as well, just think from a practical standpoint, we're not going to close any roads. It's short enough where we're not going to have, an artist isn't going to have to rent a scissor lift or a man lift. We can easily, with a simple baker's rack scaffold or a ladder, you can get to the top of this wall, no problem. So there's that aspect too, which I think helps with timeline, helps with budget, all that stuff.
I like that it's close to the police station, so we don't have to worry about too much problems, right?
True, even though you can see some buffs, so it's been tagged.
Yeah, but whatever.
So,
But
Brian,
it's been proven that areas like this with murals have
Sure.
statistically lower crime rate and lower graffiti rate. It's
True.
proven statistically, so I think it's a win-win.
For sure.
Brian, I have one question. I was wondering about the steel. Can that be part of it, or does that have to be? Is it
So
another department?
when I was looking at this and when I drove by it, I had literally the exact same thought. It's still all that is state owned because it's Metro North, so it's technically state owned. It would be incredible to paint that piece of steel. That would definitely require some road closure. Might be sort of a logistical thing, but again, I kind of want to lob that over to whatever artists, you know, we're sort of selecting for this when we get into the proposal phase, to potentially throw something out there based on the budget we have and based on their capabilities and their artistic vision and artistic voice. If it fits and they want to do it, absolutely, I totally agree with you, Steve. It would be incredible. Even just to paint, because right now it's kind of yellow, which is fine. It's better than like rusty gray or something. But yeah, even just to do like gradient or something that just sort of helps brighten up that whole area, I think could be great. And Steve, I know you're going to bring up lighting. So clearly there's electrical down here. These unfortunately right now are those god awful orange, like amber municipal.
It's just the high pressure sodium or some kind of HID or something like that. But
so
yeah, and they're shining the wrong way, right? They're
lighting floods, you know, they sort of light the road.
They're lighting, the sidewalk and the road. Exactly.
So, you know, eventually, if we can find the money or potentially carve money out of this budget, it would be nice to have those replaced. So it actually was a nicer, softer, you know, well lit area, just to highlight this project.
Yeah, that would be great.
And before I dive into schedule and budget stuff, any other questions?
Brian, from a procedural standpoint with the DOT, have you figured out like what the process is? I know that there's a bit of an application. I know that there's some checklists of things that they want to see, like they want to see an insurance policy for this. Do we have to apply? Do we have to come up with a budget first and then a proposal? And then do we have to get them to approve it on their end?
So my understanding, just reading through it, is that not only we sort of have to do all of our legwork first, and then present it to them, more or less just saying, this is going to be in our town. We're cool with it. You guys go with it. They're not necessarily going to approve it based on some of the things that we will look at, whether that be artistic merit or the ability for someone to execute this project. They're not going to look at it from that standpoint. They just want to check off their boxes, making sure it's not interrupting free flow of traffic. There's the insurance rider. If they need to make repairs that whatever art, which in this case would not be the case because I'm proposing a mural, but if let's say we were doing something sculptural, that the sculpture wouldn't interfere with future repairs. That's one of their things too. Or that if there were future repairs that did adversely affect the art that was being installed, that the state was not going to be held liable in some capacity. So really, it's just a matter of checkboxes. Like if it's approved here on our level as the town of Norwalk, then it's fair game, and we got the insurance. We're good. I mean, David Shockley said anytime they got to paint over graffiti, this is insane to me. Anytime they have to paint over graffiti, they have to like get the insurance rider to paint over graffiti. How backwards is that? That's so backward. So every time we're covering up a thing of graffiti, it's costing $100 in an insurance rider to the state.
What? Why is that? That's crazy.
Because they have this because it's state property, and you're doing work on state property. Like I understand it from this like bureaucratic point of view, but like, Jesus H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Sabrina,
don't need to vote on. Do we need to vote on this?
well, we're not ready. I don't think we're ready to yet.
Well, I was hoping to at least, so what I'm going to jump ahead here now, unless anyone has any other questions about location stuff.
I had a question for Sabrina. Sabrina, do you know if the insurance component will the underwriters, you think, cover that within their policy, or would we have to pay additional money for that out of our budget?
So before Sabrina answers that, I actually, in projects that I've done personally, I have had to have insurance, like a certificate of insurance through my insurance and again, it's $100 for like $1 million in coverage. You say the dates, you say we were doing it, and that's it, it's $100. So I'm actually, what I'm saying in the budget, in terms of the stipend that we'll be paying the artist, that it would cover the necessary costs for insurance. I don't think it should go through the city. I think the artists themselves should actually get that
It's
rider.
the city sidewalk, so the city's going to want to be covered for liability, and the state wants to be covered in liability. I'm not so much concerned with the cost. It's just in terms of process.
Our insurance will cover it the way it is usually.
Okay. And if it is an extra cost, I mean, that certainly can come out of the budget that I'm going to propose here. So.
Yeah, most of the times the artists do provide like a day of or insurance rider, and it's not very expensive. I think when Julio did it for the stairs, I think it was like $150 for the few days they were there, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's nominal.
Okay, so moving on, this is the timeline I'm proposing. I would like to get the possibility to put an RFQ forward, approved tonight, if we can. Have this RFQ, that is request for qualifications, if anyone's unfamiliar with the jargon, by April 15th. Request for qualifications is exactly that. We're not looking for proposals on the first stage. We're looking purely for artists who are interested, artists who are qualified, artists who want to dive in. I would like to see us utilize a platform such as callforentries.org, which is a great resource. I've actually reached out to them, and I'm going to go over some of the budget stuff in a moment for that. It's a national, it's a website, it's a database. I think we could open this to nationally, that more or less it puts all the information for our project forward. We ask for this request for qualifications. There is a cost to host it on that site. And then if you're an artist and have a profile, you save your images and stuff, and it's free for you to use as an artist. And we just get applications.
They have just a set fee. It's not a percentage of the project, right?
They have a few different tiers. So basically, I think our project is sufficient to do their lowest tier, which is $475 for the post. And then we pay a $2 per applicant fee. There is the next tier up, I believe, is $700. There is no per applicant fee. But if you do the math from $475 to $700, I don't think we're going to get that many applicants that it would make sense to spend that extra money.
Not inexpensive though, but
not inexpensive, but again, it's a major database.
Yeah, it's a bigger stretch. Okay.
And I feel that one of our shortcomings with the MLK project was the way in which we tried to find talent.
Yeah.
It was people had to email, and it wasn't clear what the project was. or what it was for, or where it was going to be, or what the budget was like. There were no real information. And I think the call for a place like Call for Interest, and there are others, don't get me wrong, we can certainly explore them. I reached out to a couple others and have not even heard back. So, and there is one that's called Submittable that's more for the municipalities and charities and things.
Yeah.
That's another possibility. I think they're probably a little bit better on cost. Anyway, all this to say, it gives us a place, and you can quickly update applicants on your process, where you are in the process. You can quickly send like, congratulations emails and we're so sorry emails, all from that platform. And it gives us a place to glance at it really, really clearly, with all the information we need, phone numbers, email addresses, et cetera, and work samples for us to click through it. Again, something we can discuss in terms of that. We can certainly do the old method, but I think it's the age of the internet, baby. You gotta get with the times. And I think if there's anyone who is interested, all we do is send them to that site. Mark's running the Instagram, link in bio. It's that simple. Click it, there it goes, and you're there on the site. It's free as an artist to make a profile. So I've seen requests that charge a fee to apply. I personally usually don't even reply to those because I'm like, screw you guys, you don't get my $25. So anyway, so back to the timeline a little bit. I think this request for qualifications should be up until June 1st. That gives a solid month and a half for people to apply. And then the jurying of the proposals, which we can do it committee-wide, we can do it infrastructure subcommittee, whatever, happens in sort of likely either at our June, ideally before our June meeting, and then we give ourselves a month to talk about it. Then we choose 3 finalists from that, much like we did with MLK. Those 3 finalists are then given a stipend. I'll go over that in the budget in a moment, to actually put together a proposal for us. And then we select that artist by the end of the summer. We start working on the planning, design. I'm giving us a long runway here with the DOT. Planning, design, we work on that in the winter with DOT, making sure we're getting all these boxes checked. We sort of start in whatever capacity that means, whether it means like tweaking design, sourcing things, community voices, like all this stuff that we need to do that I think is important. And then ideally when the weather breaks, probably about this time next year, this project could be underway and be completed by next year, July.
It's been approved, Brian, by the DOTC?
No, we have to go through all this to even
All
get
right,
there.
so, okay, I got you. All right, so you want to vote on whether or not we can submit an RFQ though, right? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, it's my understanding that that's the next big step.
Okay.
And just to jump ahead and I do have an RFQ typed up. I can send it around afterward. I don't think it's worth reviewing here. I copied a lot of language from some other ones that I've seen that I think are fit with what we're doing. So the budget I'm proposing, there's the $475 call for entries fee. Then I'm saying $200 for the per entry fee. This is assuming 100 applicants at $2 an applicant. The $1,500 stipend for the 3 proposals, that's $500 per artist. We can go up, we can go down. A $2,700 for the mural, which is inclusive of all materials, travel, insurance, all this stuff, anything that the artist is going to need to make this happen. And this gives us $29,175 total. This asterisk at the bottom, it is including what is assumed to be about $4,000 left over from the MLK project after Steve's lighting installation. And that's it.
Does this need to be all one single mural, and with one muralist in your mind?
As opposed to what, like sectioning it off or something?
Well, you have 2 sides of the street and multiple sections. So I'm just wondering, I know that it should be inclusive. It should sort of be a whole piece, but I'm just wondering if it could be, different.
My thought is for it to be more of a cohesive unit makes more sense. It really puts our flag in it. And I'm confident we can find an artist who can do that and make an entire unit. I think when you have sort of a mural on the left and the mural on the right, created by two different people, possibly in two different styles. I mean, it's possible. We could find two people that they complement each other very well, and we could certainly talk about that. But I think, generally speaking, from sort of a, if I'm to put on my curatorial hat, it looks better. It just there's something better. It's more dynamic. It's more impressive. It doesn't feel like kind of a disjointed, like, oh, we're trying to give as many opportunities as possible. Believe me, I want to give as many opportunities as possible. But we've got a lot of underpasses and a lot of space to paint where we can do this in the future in, sort of a similar way. We can also, anyway, my take on it, to be debated.
I think both works, right? I mean, it would be a lot more work to get more than one artist and have it choreographed. It could work. You're not separating a wall in half. You go one side and the other side. So I think there's merits to both ideas. I don't disagree with you that the cohesion of one design and one artist, it would probably look better for sure, having it, but it might be kind of nice to have two artists opening it up more. So I think we just maybe talk about it a little bit more. We don't have to decide now.
We certainly don't. And in the RFQ that I typed up, it says artist or artist teams. I mean, if there's a team of a collective that wants to come together and put some, by all means, I'm happy to hear it. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, we may see something in the entries that's like, holy crap, we got to get these four artists in, because they're going to do it together.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah.
The three proposals, the stipend. So what can you just go in? So it'd be 500 each, I guess, right? It's not 1,500 each, right? So it's
500 each. Yeah,
500 each. Okay, so they're gonna present their designs, and what's your thoughts on what that's gonna look like?
Yeah, taking into consideration, the space, any other parameters we need to or want to give them, something that's just more focused to say, I've considered this space. This is what I think you should put there.
Okay. Yeah, I think 500 is fair, for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be completely fleshed out, like, super, technical drawings or something. We just need to see kind of what we're going to get. And we can sort of tweak here and there as needed and give feedback based on that.
Okay. And the 27,000 is that's like your expertise of the billions of murals you've done and the amount of time and effort. Because I know you're the fastest muralist that I know, but can you talk through the 27,000 where that came from?
So we're assuming that this is 1,800 square feet, and let's just say they're not doing the sidewalls. If it were me painting, I'd be like, I don't care, I'm still going to paint the sidewalls, that I'm not getting more money. Normal quote unquote going rate for murals these days is anywhere from $20 to $50 a square foot. At $20 a square foot, which is generally what people charge for like municipalities, charities, schools, things like that. I mean, that clocks in at $36,000. So we're actually getting a lot of bang for our buck if we're taking into consideration the quote unquote market rate for a muralist.
And we can't have them do the signs, or you don't want it's just the cost? Like
I would love for the sides to be included. Again, I don't want to go into this asking too much. What I'd rather do is find the three artists and say, this we need painted, these things that we'd like to also see painted.
Okay.
So if you have something that you want to continue, and again, if it were me, I'd be like, absolutely, I'm going to paint every last inch of this.
Yeah, because I think that would make it, so coming into it for sure. I mean, even if it's not the detail, but it just continues the color around or something.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. And I think that's all just conversations to have with the artists or artist teams. And, even saying so far as if their proposal doesn't include the sides, we say, what is it going to take to do this?
Yeah. We'll pay for the materials. Can you continue the color?
Sure.
Maybe just add a few things. Okay. Got it. All right. Yeah. I'm okay with this.
So Sabrina, in terms of this, do we need to vote on the moving forward with an RFQ?
You don't need to vote on that. You could just do it.
Okay, do we need to vote on utilizing a platform such as Call for Entries and spending that money?
No, it's
No,
under the
that's-
threshold.
Nice.
And I think that using that website is great because I think the more transparent we are and the more public we
Yeah.
are.
No,
This
I,
product.
I think it's the best. And you're gonna get all the communication. It's gonna be all organized. So it's definitely the way to go. And
I mean, they send an email out every week of the things that deadlines are coming up within 10 days. Like, so at once a week, I get an email that says, oh, have you seen these opportunities?
yeah.
So-
And can we have multiple, like we'd have access or we get a dashboard or something that we can all kind of see, right?
Yep,
Yeah, that's
totally.
definitely the way to go, Mark. Full transparency.
Yeah. And then from a communication standpoint, anything that, any deadlines that are approaching, if you could just send emails out so that we can communicate that
Totally.
to our constituents.
Cool. Well, does anyone else have any other questions or concerns? We can also happy to take it offline in terms of little extra things that you want me to include, but I can also go over the RFQ that I have typed up if we feel like we need to, or if we have
I
time
think
for
if
that.
you
I can
just,
email it too.
I think if you email it out and let us read it offline, that's the way to go.
Because based on this timeline, we've got 10 days before, I'd like to officially launch it. So there is time for some of that feedback for sure.
For sure. Anybody else have any questions for Brian or any insights before we move on?
You may want to spell out the RFQ, Brian, because in the sourcing world, which is the world I live in, it would be request
for quote.
quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't want them to be quoting. We want their qualification.
Yeah.
So they want to just
absolutely.
write that out.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Appreciate all your work.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
All right, we're going to move on. We have Brianna James here, who's going to give us a project proposal under our new business. And Brianna and I know each other through the film community and various ways. But I'm going to turn it over to Brianna to introduce herself and tell us why she's here.
Yes, thank you. I haven't been to an Arts Commission meeting in a while, but I used to attend regularly and it's nice to be back. I'm excited about what you all are doing here. And what I am proposing is a service project. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. So I recently started working with Person to Person. Some of you are probably familiar with the organization. They help with education, clothing, food, so many different aspects of needs in our community. That's a lot of their work. It's helped to strengthen our community in Norwalk, in Fairfield. They're also in Darien, they're in Stamford. So they do a lot of really good work. And I am proposing that the Norwalk Arts Commission come together with Person to Person. So this can be the Norwalk Arts Commission, Friends of the Commission, or anyone else who might be interested in helping out in the community. The first thing that I'm working on is a clothing drive. So that's going to be donations of new or gently used clothes. And that's going to lead to a clothing sort. They have a temporary warehouse in Norwalk right now that houses tons of clothes, and they're having trouble getting all those things sorted before the time to move out of the warehouse. So they've asked if I could put together a clothing sort with some people in the community. So basically we sort through the donations, making sure things are clean, seasonally appropriate, and then we separate it by size and gender and get it ready to be shipped out of the warehouse. So you can participate in one or both. You can jump in on the clothing drive, or if you're available for the clothing sort, we need as many hands as possible. It's going to be Saturday, April 23rd from 9 a.m. to 12. It's at the Sono Community Center, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It's on South Main Street. You can drop off your clothes on that day if you're going to participate in the drive, or if you're not available on that day, you can reach out to me and I'll figure out how we can get those picked up, or if you can drop them off a different day. And it's basically an opportunity for us to give back. I'm an artist, everyone here is an artist, And we contribute to the community in many ways, but this is just another way to contribute to Norwalk. Norwalk has more needs than just the arts, right? And so we want to be hands and feet to those really practical things that the community needs. You can contact me. I put my email and phone number here. Let me know if you want to participate. I'll get you the volunteer registration form, and then just show up. The most needed items right now are baby and children's clothing. Person to person, let me know that those things run out really quickly and they're having trouble keeping those things stocked. So I can send you guys this little page that I've created if you want. I'll put it in the chat, but it's not a project that requires any money from Norwalk Arts Commission. It's not a project that's going to require a lot of time of like figuring out if it can be approved. It's just a matter of who's available, who wants to give, who wants to participate. And I thought the Norwalk Arts Commission would be a great place to start because it is a Norwalk organization. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Brianna, can I bring this to work? Because I think we do, my job does stuff for them as it is now. That it's a great team building for companies.
Yes.
So to mention that they're doing this, and I don't know if they could show up or something, because they usually do weekend food baskets for people, and every once in a while that we will have like a whole shipment of stuff and we'll put it together for the kids for the weekend with cereal and spaghetti and stuff like that. Can I show this to my human resource department?
Yeah, do you want, I will, after I'm done sharing, I'll just drop it in. Take it to whoever you want. They said that they've had groups of up to about 25 can fit into the warehouse. And they're trying to get everything out of the warehouse by, I'm looking at my calendar right now, by before May 14th. So we are, the one that I'm putting together is on the 23rd. People from your job can join us as well. Or if your job wants to put together a separate one, that's fine too. But I think it would be great to, bring as many people together as possible. Like you said, it's a great team building activity. You're sorting through the clothes, but you're also spending time getting to know the people that you're working with. So definitely share it with whoever you want to share it with. Other questions?
Just the only thing I'm trying to wrap my brain around. First of all, I think I work with person to person as well, and I think they're great. I support them however I can. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around the relevancy for the Arts Commission from an arts perspective. And if you can give me your thoughts on that.
In terms of it being, well, it's not necessarily related to arts. It's more related to the Norwalk part, because the Norwalk Arts Commission is infusing the city of Norwalk with arts and enriching the community. I just thought here's another way to enrich the community of Norwalk by giving back in this way. There are people in our community who need clothing. They need children's clothes. There are babies who need clothes. And obviously they do other things like food drives and things like that. But this was a way that I thought that the Norwalk arts community could give back in a different way besides just the arts. I mean, it may not be a fit. You may think that this is not something that you want to do, which is okay. It's just more about connecting these two different spaces that are trying to enrich the community of Norwalk.
If there is a component of like a call to action for artists to get involved with this, that to me would be relevant. And then we could communicate that through our Arts Commission social media and through our newsletter and so on. In terms of being that interface between the arts community and the city of Norwalk, I feel like if you could devise a call to action for artists, I think that would be good for us to communicate.
Okay.
Beyond that, I'd say more unofficially, in terms of introducing you to other components of the city. I mean, Sabrina, what do you think that there's any viability here for say, Visit Norwalk, or for Josh Morgan with the PR side of the city to help out in this way?
Josh is gone, but the new communications director would be helpful. I would connect directly with Lamont Daniels and his team with community services. This is where you guys kind of interface a lot more than kind of with our side of the house.
I can certainly, tailor it to calling all artists, because I do agree with you that artists can get involved in other ways. They can give back to the community in other ways. I mean, like I said before, I'm an artist, but I also see that there are needs that people have besides just consuming or experiencing the arts, and getting an opportunity to kind of touch those other places in our community is valuable to me. So I can shape it a little bit if you prefer, and make it more about calling all artists, if that helps.
Okay. Anybody else have any insights or thoughts from the Arts Commission? Don't everybody jump in at once. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Brianna. If you want to sort of shape that, and if you want to email back your proposal, that would be good. I think that the only sense that we would have to vote on this is if we were if we were putting our brand on it as Norwalk Arts Commission, or B, if we were spending any money on it, which you're not asking for us the money. So in terms of us communicating this through our social media, I think if it was just a little more relevant to the arts, I think it'll be a win-win.
Cool. So I believe, I'm not sure who sent out the last email, but I can just respond to that email, make a few changes, make a few tweaks, respond to that email. Nora, you can take it to your HR department.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
well, I think we'll all share it around. Certainly no reason we can't do that individually. I certainly will.
Yeah, because it's
And
a great team building
It really
exercise.
is. It really is. I threw the commission logo on there, but I can take that off. if you want it off, I can do that too.
That would be, yeah, in terms of public branding, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll get on that and I'll send you an email.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much,
Thank
Brianna.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the Jamaican Community Plaque at Heritage Park with Ingrid and Janet. Take it away.
Hello. So the Jamaican Heritage Plaque, I think everybody's familiar with Heritage Wall, right? Across from Matthews Park.
Yep.
Yeah, and there are a number of plaques there that honor or is dedicated to the countries, and Norwalk being their home or new home. And the first plaque, or the first dedication, was done by the Hungarian community. Thanks, Sabrina. And so, one of the things, there are 17 plaques there: Haiti, Colombia, Peru, England, Ireland, Greece, so forth and so on. And as we were approaching the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence from Britain, and knowing that Jamaicans actually are the largest group of foreign-born immigrants in Connecticut, I was surprised to learn that myself, that it was time to put it was time to honor Jamaica and put a Jamaican heritage plaque on the Heritage Wall. So NICE, initiated the project, initiated the program, and have put together a team of community leaders in Norwalk that are Jamaicans, that are for the most part Jamaican born, except for Diane Jelleret. I just learned that while she has Jamaican heritage, she was actually born in the US, in Brooklyn or something, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ingrid. But the plaque as it stands would be an honor and dedicated to Jamaica. It would honor the Jamaican diaspora in not only Norwalk, but in the entire state of Connecticut, and also the entire state of, and in the entire United States. I don't know that there is another heritage wall in any other place of the country. But what we did here was to put together a design that that honors Norwalk, that honors Jamaica, and the two seals of the country were so closely aligned. And and if you know a little bit about Jamaican history and Jamaican heritage, you would also know that it was literally like the first melting pot of the world, from the early 16th century. So there were Jamaica is a country that has many different ethnic groups and races. So what we did here in this design, we aligned the Norwalk seal out of many. One, and of course the Jamaican coat of arms is out of many, one people. And we wrote a little dedication that goes along with that. And it says, actually, I don't know, do you need me to read that, or has everybody read it?
I have read it. I have a printout here, but you're welcome to read it.
Yeah, so it has the two seals, very similar in terms of their definition and meaning. And we wrote, "We have come to the shores of Norwalk for generations with shared value and appreciation for all mankind. In this place that has welcomed us from afar, we thrive because of your open arms. Because we thrive, we're able to build and grow, and in turn add to the character, courage, vitality, resilience that is Norwalk, and that is rooted in the same values of a vibrant, progressive, multicultural community." And then it says, "God bless Norwalk, God bless Jamaica," dedicated to the Jamaican diaspora. And of course, it includes the honorary members that have formed this unofficial group that we're calling the Jamaican Heritage Trust of Norwalk. It includes myself. It includes Diane Jelleret, who's the executive director for the Norwalk Historical Society. She's of Jamaican heritage. It includes Novelet Peterkin, who's Jamaican born, and she's the CEO of the Carver Foundation, have done an amazing job at the Carver. It includes Ingrid, who's joined us here. Ingrid has been a longtime member of the Norwalk community and is also a community leader, and have volunteered for a number of organizations, and one of her Jamaican citizens here in Norwalk. Norwalk has been our home for, I don't know, how long, Ingrid?
Over 20 years.
Yeah, Norwalk has been my home for 24 years, in fact. And then it also includes George Daly, who's one of Norwalk's earliest Black Jamaican police officers. He's been on the force for a very long time and very, very well known around town. Mm-hmm. He's Jamaican. So, and there may be a couple of changes, some edits to that, mainly add in people, but for the most part, outside of that, the design of the plaque with the island in it, the island will be sculpted in bronze. and it will be raised and sculpted. And then the flag itself, the Jamaican flag, will be the black and the green will be painted, but the yellow part of the flag, because Jamaica is green, black, and yellow, and gold rather. The gold portion will be in bronze, so that won't be painted in yellow. And our aspiration and goal is to get this plaque up there to commemorate Jamaica's 60th independence anniversary coming up on August 6th, 2022. And Mark wasn't sure whether or not the Arts Commission needed to approve it, but I think that it falls under the public art category, and that's why NAC needs to approve it. Am I correct, Mark or Sabrina?
Yeah. So when I spoke to Robert about this, he recognized that the Arts Commission doesn't necessarily need to approve it, but in a sense that the Parks Commission, Parks Department doesn't necessarily need us to approve it, but they asked us to weigh in on it from an artistic perspective, and I thought that was relevant. And I think the design is great. I love the fact that it's tying in the out of many one, which is in our state seal with the city seal with the coat of arms for the country of Jamaica. I think that's great. And the only thing that I really saw in there was, maybe where it said out of many one people, I would have just made a capital O-on-1. That was really my only note.
That's a good point. Thank you. Yeah.
I had a couple comments. So I think this is great, Janet. I love it. Why not add, not to be a copywriter, but the 60th, that milestone that you just mentioned? I think that was a great bit of information. Plus,
oh, that's a great idea.
I didn't realize the amount of Jamaicans in Connecticut, like that statement you made in the beginning, like, because someone may look at this plaque and say, this is nice, why did they do this? And if you kind of reference the milestone and reference maybe something to the amount of Jamaican presence in Connecticut, that would tie it a little bit more to someone reading this and understanding, the importance of it.
Yeah, I mean, except in that, in terms of population and demographics, that's fluid, so that could change over time. But
I guess not.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I think maybe dedicated to the Jamaican diaspora on this August 6th. I don't know. We kind of, one of the things that we did, we went up there to the park, and I certainly did, spent a lot of time on it. And we looked at just all of the plaques that were there, and the thoughts and the messages and just some of the themes that were there. And so with that in mind, we, that this is what we came up with. I mean, I'm a little reluctant to kind of date it, because I feel like it should be something that lives,
timeless.
That breathes and lives throughout generations. So no matter at what point in time that you're there, it's live, it's relevant for that time.
Maybe there's just a generic reference to the large presence of the Jamaican descent here in Connecticut. Maybe it's just something like that, because I wasn't aware of that fact. I think that's a nice fact to know. So maybe
we're very closely tied. We're tied with new Asian from India. But Jamaicans, for the longest time, are the largest foreign-born group. and people say, well, what about Hispanics? But remember that Hispanics come from many different countries,
Right,
you
right.
know,
I think
they're-
it's
yeah.
I think it's, I didn't know that fact. I think it's a big one. But
Yeah.
because you started your presentation by saying that. So it's like, we were all like, wow. And then it kind of helped us lead into this great plaque. So,
Yeah.
just a thought, you may want to try to incorporate some copy that references that without dating it and putting a numeric against it.
Yeah. But I'm certainly happy to see this plaque go up.
Yeah, I think it's designed beautiful. I love the Jamaica logo. That was always one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. How you, again, I know I said it before, but out of many one people, almost, that's like the melting pot of Norwalk. Sort of speaks to that whole thing, and I really like it.
And, given that the war is in Norwalk, including the seal, I think tying in the two seals, the seal and the coat of arms were, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I love the idea. Sabrina, from your perspective, is this something that we need to vote on? And if so, Sabrina? Okay, well, do we have?
I'll motion
Is
to
she not
approve.
there?
I will motion to approve, Mark.
This is Melissa. I second it. And by the way, Janet, I agree with Mark's comments. I like it. Just I would fix that one O.
Yeah, I've made a note of that one typo, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer froze, but yes, you do need to vote on it.
Okay, so then in that case, we have a motion, we have a second, and I'm gonna wholeheartedly vote aye. And that's Mark Allen. And turn it over to Stephen Russ.
Aye.
Brian Casper.
I vote aye. The more representation we have in Norwalk, the better.
Thank you, sir. Nori Gruden.
I'm surprised we don't have one already. With all the other things on the heritage wall.
Long overdue. And Janet?
I have to abstain because I'm a part of
do.
it. Yeah.
Fair enough. And Melissa, you motioned, so take
Aye.
that.
I motioned, I was an aye.
Okay, very good. Chair recognizes Bob Abriola. So the ayes carry. Thank you so much, Janet, for bringing this to our attention, and congratulations. I look forward to seeing this get
Thank you.
complete.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's great. Great job.
Under new business, we were going to talk about the new mayor's gallery, but we spoke about that already. So we're going to I'll follow up with Brian from on the infrastructure, and when you guys launch your next meeting, if I'll ask you to just consider that in your next meeting. Under old business, we have MLK lighting project update from Stephen Rust.
Hi, yeah, sounds like our sample has arrived. Sabrina, you have it there at your office, yeah?
Correct.
Okay, so the idea behind this is to rig up a sample so we can do just a quick mock-up and have a look, make sure the light looks good. And it has variable color temperature, which means, from sort of a cooler white light down to, I think it has 3 settings. So it can go to a warmer sort of amber, somewhere in between, and then a cooler white. And so my goal was to rig up that sample in coordination with Suez and show it to Lauren and see what she thinks. So now that the sample's here, I'll try to come by tomorrow morning, but it may not be till next week. But I'll pick that sample up and we'll get it rigged up. But I will need help from Suez, and I'll contact them about that. And then try to set up something maybe in 2 weeks' time or so, so that Lauren can come have a look. Anyone else is welcome. That's it.
So Brian, I'm sorry, Stephen, when we were talking about I guess maybe this question is for Brian. Do you foresee in your proposal, based on this, if this is successful, do you foresee having a lighting implementation within this new mural that you're proposing?
In the new,
Sorry,
the
I said that really badly. I apologize.
the Monroe Underpass, you mean?
Yeah, the Monroe
Yeah.
Underpass. Because
If, I think the way Brian phrased it was to, if money is available after, so, is that right, Brian?
That's right.
So,
yeah, I'd like to
I mean,
see
there's
if
a
we
lot
can
more
find the money.
expense. Sorry?
Like we basically are paying for this out of the MLK money.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's going to be a procedure that we carry forward. We might want to think about that in terms of future murals.
Sure.
Unless we can find money from the city, from another pot, for lighting in general. Maybe this is something we want to think about with DPW.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
that sounds great. I mean, I think this is a good, first shot at it, and see how this one goes. The light fixture is incredibly inexpensive. It's mostly the electrical contractor's labor that'll, we'll get some indication of what that'll be on this one. And obviously the square footage is a lot greater on the Monroe Underpass. So, there, a few more fixtures and a bit more conduit and wire and all of that, right? But so yeah, let's see how this one goes. Hopefully, once we do the sample, we get that part moving forward, then it's just a question of getting a quote from the Suez contractors, and that's, I think, as part of the sample mock-up. I think they'll have someone there maybe, and we can knock that around. I'm realizing though, it's also, it doesn't get dark until later now, right? It's just about twilight now. So we will want to do this probably after hours a little. So anyway, we'll sort that out. But
Okay.
that's where it sits.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I wanted to come to see that when it was done, but I think I'm going to be out of town. So if you could take some photos, that would be great.
Sure, we'll do. Yeah, and where would be the best place to post the date if I put it out? Would I just email everybody on the list once we have that set?
Generally, yeah. But if
Okay.
you email me, and you can email livelovenorwalk@gmail.com, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. I was going to give you an update from the traffic graphic box. I had a meeting with a muralist in Norwalk who was interested in coming today to give us a proposal. But she was unable to make it. But she was interested in, this is Bianca Romero. She was interested in painting 2 of the traffic boxes in the MLK corridor, and was highly interested to work with our local students. She's working on a proposal now, and that would be paid for by David Shockley's budget. So it wouldn't come out of our money, but it's going to be basically a traffic graphic program pre-existing. But it's going to be the win-win that we were looking for with the other proposal that we had heard. Going to help involve students, and is going to be affordable. So hopefully we'll get a proposal on that for next month.
What box would it be, Mark?
There were 2 there. I think there were originally, it was 4 boxes in the MLK corridor. I don't know which 2. It's
Well,
really,
David said he
really,
has 3. He has 3 and he has the money for it. So it's not coming out of the Arts Commission. So it's just a matter of us really finding and vetting an artist. Or
yeah, it's
artist.
just approving the artist, approving the proposal.
And he's saved those for us, right? Good, okay.
Yeah,
And he wants to spend it again before he loses it before the budget's over. So I think we're looking for potentially 2 other artists here. Sorry, I don't mean to speak.
no,
over
you're
you.
right. No, exactly. This could be, 1 or more artists. I was talking to Janet about that from Julio's proposal. We love the idea that would involve students. It doesn't mean that it has to, but it's certainly a win if it does. And so, and then again, if you guys come up with any other artists who want to submit proposals, that's fine too. Or organizations. And that's all I have. Anybody else have anything before we motion for adjourn?
Yeah, Mark, I had one topic. It would be new business. Maybe we can table it, Brian, for infrastructure, but Stanford has done a great job over the years of having public art, and they would do objects that are out there. Like they just did pianos recently where, you have artists painting pianos and they get sponsored. There's been cows, there's been a bunch of different things that they've done. So if you've got horses, right? So if you've gone through Stanford, you probably have seen those things. I don't know much about the programs. I know the company that I worked for in Stanford was sponsoring one of them. So we paid for the art, and that's about as much as I know of it. I don't know if that's exclusive to Stanford, but it might be something that we can start considering for Norwalk and learn more about how they're doing it in Stanford, and maybe create a similar program to get public art out there. Because I think there's a lot of really terrific ones that they do. And I don't know if it's every other year or every 5 years. I don't know the timing, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think I remember that in New York City, they had the painted bulls. I remember that in New York.
They've done horses, cows. I know last year they did pianos. There were pianos all over the place that were painted, and you could actually play the pianos in certain businesses. So, how much money all of that is, do companies sponsor the whole thing? I'm not really sure the details. Maybe we can create our own, but I love the idea. I thought it was terrific. It's almost like you go around and try to find all the different ones. So maybe there was up to 25 of those items throughout Stanford. But
Sabrina, do you remember Jessica Vonashek bringing up something like this?
Yeah, we were going to use some ARPA dollars to do either oysters or cows or pianos at one point too. So we looked into it. It's pretty expensive. Unless we get sponsorship for the program or use some ARPA money. We've been looking into it, but we haven't really got far on it besides looking into it pretty much.
The problem with pianos is that they're just not weatherized.
We can come up with that. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that's pianos,
with
but
our own
thing.
But there could be.
We did this before. We did stars. They're used to them all over the place.
Yeah, there you go. So maybe it's funded by businesses where they would then have the sculpture, if you will, on their location, and they can help fund it or fund most of it. And I just thought it was we're trying to get public art out there. So within the murals, I'm a big sculpture guy, so I kind of like objects, and just wanted to table it for us. I thought it was an idea worth exploring.
Yeah, I think it's worth exploring. Yeah, very good.
I have a question for Sabrina. It doesn't relate to the public art thing. Well, not to the this initiative that Bob brought up, but in terms of the plaque, what would be our next steps, right? I mean, I'm assuming that Robert then submits it to Common Council and
Yep.
then they approve it. Is that how it works?
Yep.
Great.
That's
Okay.
all. I just inform him that we approved it, and then he goes to council with it, and then that's it.
Oh, good.
So they don't have to go to Parks Commission first.
Thank you. Right, so it doesn't have to go to the Parks Commission first.
Yep. Nothing can go on a committee agenda without. Nothing can go on a council agenda without going through committee. So.
Okay. Got you. Great. Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Brian Casper, I motion to adjourn.
I will second that. Bob Abriola, I second that motion.
Okay, I'm going to vote aye on that. And we'll say goodnight to everybody. Bob Abriola, you're an aye, I assume.
I'm an aye.
And Janet Evelyn,
I,
Brian Casper,
Aye.
Stephen Rust.
Aye.
Nori Gruden
Aye.
and Melissa Matuska.
oh, we lost her.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. It was very informative.
You're welcome, Ingrid. Thank you so much. And thank you, Brianna.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me share.
Yes.
Thank you.
Aye.